5 lessons in my first 5 years of business. Lesson number 1, security is a myth. This week is my half-decade anniversary of being a full-time entrepreneur. I've started and failed 3 businesses before going full-time, so it wasn't my first rodeo. Here's the timeline. June 2019. I came back from a vacation to a box at my desk. I was told that my position at the marketing agency I worked at for years was eliminated. Feelings of pain and frustration were constant for me for months. And at this agency, I always had the idea that I'd either work my way up the corporate ladder and land at a Fortune 100 company, which to me was winning the American dream, or I would advance in this agency. Well, I learned before June of 2019 that was not going to be the play. So I thought Fortune 100 would give me the opportunity to stack wins and experience to the highest degree. And then, only then, eventually, I'd start my own business. When I was ready. When I had a safety net. And when I had undeniable resume and skills earned from the world's best companies. But what I didn't realize was 5 years ago is that you're never ready because life has its own plans. Lesson number 2, you can't move in 2 directions. You have to choose. I took a month to finish my rounds of interviews at Google, Lowe's, and other larger international companies. They flew me out. My first time being flown out for job interviews. Felt all fancy. I met with them, met with the team, met with the hiring managers, took tours of the locations, tours of the city, and had my final interview. And in each instance in that interview room, I knew right away that this was not for me. And on the flight back from Google, I told myself that I was going to give myself 90 days to figure it out before I consider giving up again on my entrepreneurship dream. And in that time, I competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of the things that I love. I trained once or twice a day, every day, on average 12 sessions a week. So 12 times an hour and a half, you got, 18 hours of jiu-jitsu a week. That was my job when I was figuring things out. And in that time, I competed in one of the largest tournaments, which was called the IBJJF Worlds, or Pan Am Games in New York City. I went 0-1. I got smoked against a guy who placed. Maybe he won. And I pretty much hung up the idea of competing in sports again competitively. Got it out of my system. I read, I listened, and I talked with tons of thought leaders. It was entrepreneur behavior. It was mental masturbation, really. On the last week of my 90 days, I had 2 lunches. One was my first marketing consulting client. The other became my first true business partner. By the end of September, I became a co-founder and managing partner of a private equity startup. Fun fact, I didn't even know what private equity was when I started this venture. The next 90 days, I picked up 10 clients as a marketing consultant and was making more per month by at least double than I ever had before. By the end of 2019, I was set to get my real estate license, something that I had dreamed of since I was a kid, join the family business. By choosing to go all in on and deciding failure wasn't an option, I tasted success, what I thought success was, from my own standards for the first time. Which brings me to lesson number 3. Success and failure are not final. Before COVID, talking about Q1 of 2020, so not even 9 months into my decision to be an entrepreneur, I had a $6 million pipeline of real estate under contract As soon as I had my license, I felt like I was graduating top of my class. On top of that, I had $10,000 a month of marketing and consulting revenue that I've built up over the last 6 months. And my private equity partnership was growing. We were launching the brand, doing networking, getting ourselves out there, doing all the go-to-market things you do. Everything was moving at an alarming rate. It felt like I was on a roller coaster, working every day from 6 or 7 a.m. when I got up till I finished real estate class, sometimes working till 9, 10 p.m. So 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. And by all perceivable standards, if everything happened like it was supposed to, like it was drawn up, I was on track to make my probable first $1 million of cash that year within only 9 months. And then COVID happened. At that point, 100% of my revenue went away. My consulting clients either shut down their business or fired all non-essential services. Fun fact, marketing is one of them. Out of 50 states, there's only one where real estate became deemed as non-essential, and that's Pennsylvania, where I live. What that did was our contracts became null and void. My private equity firm was focused on real estate at that time. So that was halted in its tracks. On top of the business setbacks I had, my girlfriend at the time, she dumped me. I had to use all of my savings, since I reinvested them into business, to live, to cover my expenses. When my mom found out, she floated me a month's worth of expenses. No hesitation. At that time, there was only $7 to my name in my bank account. And I didn't have an option for money coming in. If I didn't figure it out, I would be running at a loss in the next month. Which leads me to lesson number 4. Pray for rain, but dig a well. It can't always rain. At this point, we're in quarter 3 of 2020. Not even 1 year in, we pivoted the private equity firm to go after small business turnarounds. Turns out there is a silver-haired tsunami, so to speak, where there are tons of baby boomer business owners who are set to retire and die without a succession plan. Within a week of the pivot, I got a call from a job I don't even remember applying for. I answered the call, and within an hour, I was sitting in the owner's office. During the 2-hour conversation, not only was I offered the job that would get me back on my feet and pull me out of the red, but we had a handshake deal to buy his company. Which leads me to lesson number 5. Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. Within the next year, 12 months or so, we acquired our first business, the one that gave me the opportunity when I needed the most. So it took us almost 2 years of being in business with the PE firm. This is the middle of 2021 to get our first deal done, to have any real success or progress to be made, other than all the hard work we were doing on the surface. And then we acquired 7 more in the next 12 months. So almost 2 years for the first deal, 7 deals in the next 12 months. I still got my real estate license, became no longer illegal in Pennsylvania. I closed 10 real estate transactions, just about. Maybe 8, maybe 12. It's kind of fuzzy. We'll call it 10. During that time, things are going great. I met my now wife. We had bought our dream home, and we had our first child on the way. On paper, not only was I a millionaire, but I was a multi-millionaire. Whatever a personal financial statement, whatever that means, right? Not in cash, but in net worth. On top of that, I was spending a few weeks every month traveling around the country, looking for businesses to buy, managing the portfolio companies. And we had a media company growing our brands. I had my second podcast at the time, was starting to take off. We had about 40 episodes recorded, growing our YouTube subscribers, getting more and more traction each day. My friends and family were starting to get involved with the business. So I was able to employ friends at the time that needed employment. I was in charge of, at the time, just about 60 employees across the portfolio. This was not long after I had to ask my mom for help because I had no money. Within that portfolio, we grew some of the companies, one of them, 20% top line year over year. So increased sales 20%. But we increased the profit by almost 100%. Finally, everything I had dreamed of was becoming a reality, but it came at a cost. I was having panic attacks. My health was going downhill. I started smoking cigarettes. I was gaining weight. I was an athlete. Not anymore. It got so bad that I had to find myself praying to God for direction in a hospital, in a delivery room for my first child. I needed a sign. Then my wife and the nurses came down on me for working during delivery. I was answering emails. I was taking work calls and doing meetings in Zoom while my wife was in labor for hours and hours. That was the sign I needed. I decided then and there that I needed to make a change, which leads me to my bonus lesson. You never start over, you just continue. After choosing business or family, there was a no-brainer for me. I decided to create a business that would fit the life I've always wanted. By the end of the third year in my business for the PE firm, so 2022, I created my first solopreneur business. It was just me. It's called Thunderstock Marketing. I named it after my daughter, Torvi. She was the inspiration for doing it. I became a work-from-home dad. I became a present father. I became a healthier and happier version of myself. Now, I do what I did for my portfolio of businesses. I do what I did as a marketing consultant and as an agency owner. But I do it as a fractional chief marketing officer. So I help small business owners achieve their dreams of financial freedom. Which leads me to my final thought of this is 5 years may feel like a long time in the moment. The days are long, the years are short. But looking back, I remember every lesson just like it was yesterday.